Hey everyone, Dr. Sherry here, and it's really good to be with you again today. I know last August, it was a few weeks ago, I did another public Facebook Live, and I am really glad to be back with you today. I'm going to be talking about hijacked when everything feels like a trigger. And it almost goes without saying that I probably don't even need to tell you what a trigger is because we feel them right when we've been betrayed. So I just want to say a quick hello to everyone who's here. Again, I'm Dr. Sherry. I'm saying hello to those of you that are in my Brave One community. Hey, gang, great to be with you. I do private Facebooks with them, so we get to spend a lot of time together. I also want to say hello to some of you that may be here for the very first time. Someone may have told you about me based on what I shared last month. I'm the author of the book Intimate Deception: Healing the Wounds of Sexual Betrayal. And I'm going to be talking a little bit about something that's in that book today. I'm going to be going into triggers. So, whether you've watched me on the YouTube channel, Facebook, if you didn't see what I did last month, it's a good one. You want to watch it. It's called The False Belief That It's Just Porn. And I could go into that again today, but I won't. I just think porn's been minimized. So you'll want to watch that. I'll have my team put it in the chat so you can get there. But let me tell you a little bit about my training. So, I'm a doctor of marriage and family therapy. I've been doing that for 25 years. I'm also a certified partner trauma therapist, and I'm a supervisor, meaning that I have the opportunity to teach others how to best care for us as betrayed partners. I'm a certified sex addiction therapist. So, what does that mean? It means I get to understand and work with those who compulsively sexually act out. So I understand both sides of it. Today, in a little bit, I'm going to be telling you more about my Brave One community. What is it? It's a private online community where I get to care for you, mentor you, guide you through your own healing, and it's tailored for betrayed women. Now, I know some of you that are listening today are men. I know there's men and women who are betrayed, but the community is for women. And so, again, I'll tell you more about that in a second. But last month, I did something that I'd never done before, so I'm going to do it again. For the next 3 days, I'm going to be opening the community, and you're going to get $17 off. So you just have to, I'm sorry, $20 off. So you just have to put a code in. It's B1C17, and that will, so you only pay $17 for the month. And I'll tell you more about it in a minute. But anyway, stay tuned. Again, today I'm going to be talking about hijacked when everything feels like a trigger. Now, I want to have you guys ask questions, and I'll answer as many as I can at the end on triggers. Just remember that this is public, it's not private. So whatever you write can be seen. If you want to put anonymous onto your question, that's great. Or you can just let my team know you have a question for me and they'll private message write me. So yeah, just send it in a private message. All right. I'm excited. Here we are, hijacked when everything feels like a trigger. Basically, what is a trigger? A trigger is something that causes a strong emotional reaction or feeling suddenly that comes upon you because of some painful experience. Now, triggers, we don't go looking for triggers, right? Triggers find us. And because of the betrayal trauma, our brain gets kindled. It gets turned up, just like kindling for a fire. And our nervous system gets turned up. And our nervous system can actually become a provocateur in and of itself. It can make you react to things. So there's like an alarm that goes on inside of us. When we're triggered, that alarm system might be triggering us because there's a real threat, or it could be a perceived threat. But both things can happen. Why does that happen? Because our nervous system is in hyperarousal. That's a normal response that happens after we've been betrayed. We can become hyper aroused. or hypervigilant. If you're hypervigilant, you may have be struggling with sleep. You might have an exaggerated startle response. You might have a hard time concentrating. You might even find you're more irritable. Anger, rage can be signs of hyperarousal. There's a lot of things that happened. And so when we're triggered, our heart races, our blood pressure changes, our cortisol levels change, and some of us, our bodies can get overwhelmed with high amounts of cortisol. We can go into fight or flight because our cortisol is off. Traumatized bodies, and this is something that Bessel van der Kolk said. Actually, he wrote the book, The Body Keeps a Score. But traumatized bodies are constantly bombarded with these visceral warning signs. And our body's doing that in an attempt to help us control what's happening around us. So, because of that, this process that goes over and over again, we can actually become really good at ignoring our own gut instincts. Now, I'm going to be talking about four different types of triggers, even though there's more than that, but I thought these were really interesting and very common to us. What are the four types I'm talking about today? There's external triggers, there's internal triggers, there's triggers from psychological abuse, lying and gaslighting. Yes, you can get triggered from that stuff. There's grief triggers, and some of you may be like, what? Grief triggers? Yes. And I'm going to be doing a trigger awareness exercise with you. I'm actually going to be sharing a grief trigger that just happened last week with me. So I'm going to let you in to see what actually happened with me. Now, let's start with external triggers. Now, external triggers are associated with people, things on the outside, places, events, songs, photos, billboards, things that can remind us of some other betrayal that we have experienced, some other sexually compulsive behavior that has hurt us. Now, sometimes they're very obvious. Triggers can be like a scantily dressed woman on the cover of a magazine or a seductive TV commercial. Could be a news person, a weather person, right? Might be a lingerie store ad, or maybe mannequins even, and lingerie. Could be another person when they're lingering at someone that they are looking at longingly, right? Whether that's a male or female that they're looking at. Sometimes we're triggered because we see flesh, right? Because of pornography, that flesh that has taken our significant other away from us. Now let's go to the second type. That's internal triggers. So that can be something that's happening inside our mind, inside our body. It's more about of a feeling. It's happening in you. You could be in a bad mood. You might be feeling depressed, or you might blow up at someone. But this is the thing. We can have these things happening in us on the surface, and we can have no idea that it's actually connected to a D-Day or an event that happened months ago, or to even a calendar event, something that happened last year. Now, let's talk about triggers, the third type, that come from psychological abuse, gaslighting, or lying. No one really talks about this, but I see this happening a lot, and I've experienced this myself. Now, gaslighting happens when somebody strategically twists the truth to make you believe there's something wrong with you while they're hiding something they're doing over here, right? So they're covering up their deceptive behavior, and so they're lying. Now, when somebody is gaslighting us, that externally is a person that's doing that, but we can get triggered because they're gaslighting us. Like our instincts are telling us something's off, and we can get very angry and go from 1 to 100 in a New York second. When someone's lying to us and we know it, maybe we found evidence, we can get triggered because they're lying to us. They're bullface lying to us. When somebody is not taking ownership over what they've done and they're denying it, or they're minimizing what they've done, we end up getting triggered. And sometimes they end up blaming us for getting angry for the problem rather than them saying, "Oh, yeah, you're right. I can see why you're upset. You're just getting triggered because I was just lying to you." Yes, that's what's just happening. Now, when somebody is doing that, lying and hiding, gaslighting, it could be intentional or it could not be intentional. I do a lot of psychoeducation around that. But, sometimes people do know what they're doing and they're, triggering us and then they make it about us, sadly. So the problems with triggers is this: they occur unexpectedly. We get flashbacks, you might have panic attacks. It can leave you feeling powerless, helpless, like you can feel like you're hyperventilating in the moment, like feeling the need to have to calm your body down. And it can occur after something happened a week ago or a day before or even years before the event. And the thing about triggers, it can feel like it's happening right now, like right now, even though it happened months ago. But what's happening really is we're re-experiencing it. We're getting triggered by something that feels similar, like brushes up against our soul. And that causes us to feel like it's happening in the moment. We may go into fight, flight, or freeze, or some of us may even dissociate. Now, the fourth type of trigger I want to talk about, these are grief triggers. You might say grief triggers, what is that? Well, all grief is not created equal. In fact, as you're healing from betrayal trauma, you're going to be experiencing grief, sadness, loss, anger from the relational, emotional, and sexual betrayals that have happened to you. I know with Connor, which I talk about him in my book, I had a tremendous amount of grief and loss. I actually ended up getting depressed. Why? Because I was dealing with the impact of pornography, affairs, and prostitutes. So grief triggers can be hidden. It's like our grief gets buried alive. You may get triggered from a loss of safety or shame or losses of family and friends. You may get triggered because you're in an event and you feel like, I don't know why, but that person looks like somebody that had an affair with my significant other. You might get triggered from the loss of your love story, the loss of having a wedding in a certain place, and you're just driving along, and all of a sudden you drive by a place. We think that's a trigger, but it's actually a grief trigger. It's bringing up some pain of the past. So I'm going to be talking more about grief in a future talk, just so you know. Continue to watch me because that's really a talk in and of itself. But right now, what I want to do is I want to take you into my trigger awareness exercise. And there's actually 10 steps in my book where I talk about the trigger awareness exercise. I'm not going to go into all 10. I'm going to go into several of them. But I wanted to tell you a story, and I'm actually going to show you screenshots of what happened to me last week. Again, there's 10 steps because I want you to be able to, with me right now, in the short time we have together, to connect the dots, to actually go back in time to figure it out what just triggered you. If you get triggered and you can ask yourself, what happened just before I got triggered? That is part of our healing. Now, this trigger awareness exercise is in my book, Intimate Deception, Healing the Wounds of Sexual Betrayal, and it's page 186 to 188. Get the book, it's all in there, and I use those pages over and over and over again. Now, when we're unearthing triggers, it's kind of like digging in the dirt. Like it takes some time for self-reflection to get to know what's happening and what's causing you so much pain. In some way, it's like digging into this part of our heart that may have been covered up for a while. But in doing this work, as you connect the dots, it can help you to heal. And it also can help you to anticipate how you might react in the days ahead. Now, I would love to answer any questions that you guys have. So write them down now, but get a piece of paper out because I'm going to take you through several steps. And I know we're not going to have enough time for you to care for your heart in the way that I would want it to be cared for. But in the few moments that we have, see if you can write some quick thoughts down. And then this is recorded. I'll be sending you out a recording, and it's on my YouTube channel. So you can watch it again and just take your time and go through it. But I'm going to take us through it like skipping rocks so you can see how it works. So think about a trigger to work on with me right now. Could be an external trigger, might be a lie that you were told, a discovery that happened, a grief trigger, like I'm going to share with you. But choose your event wisely. I don't want it to be something that's so overreacting that you won't be able to hem yourself in the next few minutes together. So just make sure to be kind to yourself. Here's my friend Debbie. Debbie just went to Alaska and she sent me these photos last week. And you'll see she knows I love to fish. So she sent me a picture of one of the fish she caught, this beautiful eagle. She sent me flowers and landscape. It was amazing. Well, then she sent me a video of this whale that she saw, more flowers, this gorgeous whale tail. And then I was like, what in the world? She sent me this picture of a whale that she caught in action, and I was shocked. I was like, Debbie, and Debbie is an amazing photographer. And I was like, I can't believe you got a picture of that whale. You are so awesome. And so I told her as I was going through, I love the photos. And I asked her, I said, hey, Deb, is that whale jumping a postcard? Seriously, I've never seen a whale jump that high. Did you take that photo? And then I thought, note to Sherry, don't do that. You know, Debbie's a photographer. Don't make her question what she's doing. I was like, Deb, I know you took that photo of the whale. I am just absolutely blown away. It's like a photo that should be entered in some kind of a contest. Honestly, it's beautiful. So Debbie, she texted back to me and said, yes, I took the photo. It was epic. Overwhelmed. And I just sat and I looked at it again and again. Then she said, it was epic, except it was a statue. I took so many of the gray whales in Juneau Harbor that it was purely lovely also. It was what I saw. Now, when Deb told me it was a statue, I said, a statue? Oh my goodness. And then I looked closer at the photo and I noticed there were fountains, little sprays, all at the bottom. And there was water coming out of its mouth like this was not a real whale. Then I felt shame, a flood of shame wash over me. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to play stupid. I sent her a funny Bitmoji and I was like, oh, I was totally duped on that one. And she said, yeah, I'm on my flight home. But this is what happened, everyone. I was trying to laugh, and this trigger went all the way down into my body. It was a grief trigger. And this is what I said in real time. I said, now I can see the tiny sprinklers around the base. Wow, I didn't see it. I thought it was real, but it almost looked too good to be true. Why is this going so deeply into my heart this moment? Why do I feel ashamed for not seeing the tiny fountains at the bottom, for not looking closer? I feel safe enough to share this with you too. And these were two friends of mine. I said, man, you can see how raw I am. And I just started to cry because I realized that I felt duped and I was ashamed because I felt stupid. So now what I want to do is walk you through your own trigger awareness exercise. And I'm going to share a bit of my experience, but I really want you to work on yours. But I wanted to go first because I wanted you to know this is real. I didn't go looking for that. I actually just was enjoying her photos, but I just want you guys to know the steps. So let's go through this trigger awareness exercise. So step number one is I want you to review the triggering event. Just write it down on a piece of paper. So in one or two sentences, describe the event or moment that happened, that moment that happened before you got triggered. And be specific about what bothered you. So in my case, I would say I was bothered that I didn't know that that was a statue, that I thought the whale was real. Now I'm going to give you just a few seconds to write your own trigger down. Again, you can do this later, but I just wanted to take a moment with you. So if you've been able to write a sentence down, that's what we're going to work on. Now, step 2 is I want you to see it and say it in your mind's eye as if you were seeing it at that moment on a movie screen. What part of the event represents the worst part of your experience? Write that down. What was the worst part? So for me, there was a couple of worst parts. One, I didn't know it was a statue. And two, I ignored my gut instincts. Like what I saw, if you remember what I read, it felt good, too good to be true. And I actually asked questions and I challenged my friend. And then my friend said, no, I took the photo. So I believed her. And the third thing is I felt stupid. I felt duped. And I tried to laugh it off because didn't realize I was trying to cover up my shame. So, what's the worst part of yours? Now, the third step is name the shame. All right. So, now I want you to ask yourself this question. So, you've got your event, you've got was the worst part of it. Now, I want yourself to ask yourself this question. What is the negative belief about yourself in light of what happened to you? I want you to phrase it in a way like an I am statement, like I am, or I can't, or I don't. So in my case, I'm stupid. I can't trust anyone. Um, I'm helpless, right? I wasn't able to stop what was happening to me. What would that statement be for you? Might be I'm not in control, or I'm not good enough, or I'll never be safe. What is it for you? Write your I am statement down. Now let's go to step 4. How did this triggering event make you feel? So now I want you to find your feeling and I want you to write that down. If some of us mentioned anger, right? I felt angry, then I want you to ask yourself, was I also feeling hurt, afraid, or sad or scared? Right? So, an example for me, I was feeling overwhelmed. I was feeling dumb. Um, I was feeling afraid and hurt, embarrassed. Like those were things that I was feeling. So you might be feeling scared, anxious, heartbroken, betrayed, panicked, worthless, whatever. Write your feeling down. Now let's go to step 5. Now I want you to ask yourself, where are you feeling that in your body? Now that you identified embarrassment or overwhelmed or anger, just like if you had a scanner on your body, where were you feeling that on your body? An example is you might feel your heart racing or your chest tightening, your hands might have been shaking or breathing fast. How did that come out in your body? I know for me, I felt a flood of tears. I just started crying. As soon as I said, man, I'm so raw, I just started crying. Step 6, now I want you to use what I call my 180-degree turnaround. So this is explained in my book, but I want you to take in step 3, we talked about the negative belief, whatever that is. I want you to turn it around, the opposite. So if it's like, I am not good enough, the opposite is I am good enough. Now, you might not believe it right now, right? But I want you to at least write it down because that's your goal in healing is to get to a point that you can believe the opposite. It's just a trauma, negative belief that got wired in because of the event. So instead of I can't trust anyone, it's I can choose to trust, who to trust, right? Or I'm in danger, it's like I can protect myself, right? There's a turnaround to it. And you can read more about this in my book. I have a whole chapter that has to do with my 180 turnaround. Um, I'm not a good enough person. The opposite could be I'm a caring and loving person who was deeply hurt, right? That's how you do a turnaround. So see if you can find the turnaround. And then last but not least, step 7 is a really important question. And I want you to ask yourself right now with me, what do you need? What do you need right now? You might need to reach out for support from a safe person. You might need to connect with a loved one or friend. Do you need to talk about the trigger? Do you need some validation? For me, as soon as I was like, hey, you guys, I feel safe enough to share this, I feel so raw right now. Guess what I did? I started telling them what happened and I went in to share my heart and what I was feeling in the moment. And guess what I got? Because they both love me and know me, they started comforting me. They comforted my heart. So for many of us, we might say, I need to be heard. I need to let my trusted friends know what's going on. For me, I needed to cry. I just needed to cry and let the pain out. I needed to know that I wasn't stupid, right? And that my gut instincts were actually kind of right because it looked too good to be true. And my gut was telling me something was off. So I ended up validating myself later. I was like, actually, your gut's intact. You did question. She just told you, yeah, I took the photo and you believed her, but she was just playing with you. That doesn't make her a bad person. It just went right into a grief trigger of feeling duped. So, can you imagine through doing this steps how you might anticipate working with triggers that you might have in the future? I want you to give yourself a big hug right now for even walking through that with me. But these are the kind of things that I work on in my Brave One community. And just want you guys to know, we're going to put it in the chat. There is a 4 elements exercise that I want to send to you. It's actually an exercise that can help you calm down in the moment, calm your body down when you're being triggered. I'm going to have it available when I send out the replay. I'm going to include it so you guys can have that and have it as a resource for yourself. Now, I know a download isn't enough, and that's why I wanted to tell you a little bit more about my Brave One community. It's truly a life-changing community. Now, how can I say that? Because I have betrayed partners that started with me in my Brave One community when my book came out several years ago, and they've grown stronger. They've actually been able to heal and stop the crazy making that's going on in their relationship. And so women join my community. It's $37 a month. And I lead, guide, and mentor you through something that I call my Brave One journey. And I also do a boundary challenge and I mentor you through that. So again, last month I opened this up for 3 days. That you can save $20 on your first month by just putting in the coupon box, right? Going to my website, braveone.com/community. Just go there and in the coupon box, just put in B1C17, B1C17, and you get $17 off at checkout. I'm sorry, $20 off at checkout. I keep wanting to say 17, but you get $20 out at the checkoff. So you only pay 17 for your first month. Again, it's braveone.com/community. It's BRAVEONE.com/COMMUNITY. And again, you can learn more. I have so many things I want to share with you. All you need to do is sign up in the next 3 days by midnight this Saturday, August 15th, and then you'll get to have the discount on joining. So, what do you get for $37 a month? A ton of care and resources and time with me and many, many amazing coaches that are all certified and that work together with me as a team on your behalf. You're going to get to go through my Brave One journey, which is a proven path to help you as a betrayed partner heal. You're going to go through my boundary challenge because boundaries are so challenging. I don't want you to be challenged by them. It's actually a boundary challenge specifically for betrayed partners so that you can learn how to do them and learn how they can be effective. I've got 24/7 care through my private Brave One Facebook group. Now, you can be a part of that if you want, but you don't have to be a part of it. I've got women that are a part of it and women that aren't. You get to decide. You get live Q&As with me. That means I get to be up close and personal. You and I get to chat about what's really going on. And we do that in a group setting where you get to be loved on and cared for you by other betrayed partners. I do my just like I'm doing with you today, except it's private. I'm always teaching, giving you guys new information, helping you heal, always helping you get stronger. I talk about my empowerment wheel, which I don't have time to talk about with you today, but it's huge in helping women get empowered. You get access to small groups, individual coaching, discounts on my intensive that I do. That's face to face. My whole library, audio library, video library, lots of free downloads. Something called a TNT, which is like 10 minutes or less on what you really want to learn about. What do you want me to talk about? So there's a whole library of those. Basically, the long and the short of it is you have access to my private Brave One community website with all the things that I just told you. And in addition to that, as an option, if you want, you can also participate in my private Brave One Facebook group. And that's 24/7 support by women who get it and coaches that are there to care for you. You can come with an alias, with a made up name. Again, we just want to be able to care for you. Now, it's closed. My Brave One community is a closed group. You might even go out and try to find it, and you're not going to be able to find it because you have to join. And why do I do this? I do it to protect you from having people who are bots or other people that shouldn't be there join. And I want you to feel safe because it's confidential. Everything you share in the Brave One community is kept confidential and it's protected. We need to feel really safe when we've been betrayed. Now, some of you say, well, but I don't really understand technology. I'm not as good at it. And I'm like, neither am I. So I have a team of people that can help you with technology. If you don't know how to be on Facebook, guess what? I have a teaching tool and I've got a real life person that can help you get that set up. You might say, well, I don't know if I can afford the $37 a month. And I'm like, I totally get that. Um, the truth is, women that actually jump in the community and try it out, and this would be a perfect time for you to jump in to save $20, is you can jump in, and this is what they tell me. I can't believe how long, I wish I would have known about this a long time ago because there's so much here. I wish I would have known about these resources way earlier. And so I think you'll stay. But if you don't, you know what? It's okay because you can cancel at any time. I want people to be there that want to grow and want to change and want to heal. And you know why? Because I know I can help you become your best self. I know I can help you heal and I know I can help you become a richer version of yourself, stronger version of yourself. So again, the Brave One community, it's only $37 a month. I get to lead, guide, and mentor you 3 days. All you have to do is to go to braveone.com/community, braveone.com/community, and put in the code B1C17. You get $20 off and you're in. And I can see you and start working with you. So hopefully today in talking about triggers, something made sense to you. And listening to the questions that were asked, you've said, hey, I think I might want to check it out. I might want to just go and see what it's like. It's really a place for you. So hopefully you'll decide to jump in and I will look forward to seeing you very, very soon inside my Brave One community.